Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I wanted to do another one only because I wanted to do another one. I want to do a 420. I've been doing really heavy topics for the past, I guess, week, talking about World War III and all these other things. I want to have more of a lighthearted one, and my 420s tend to be somewhat more lighthearted in the way I go about my videos. So let's have a 420. I'm probably not going to keep this one long because I'm kind of tired. I've been doing this first thing in the morning, last thing at night, and I've been doing this like every day. So I'm not going to keep this one long. But let's be jovial and let's be whimsical. And let's play with thoughts. That's what my 420s are. So blaze one if you got one. Enjoy yourself. Insert bong hit here. Insert pipe hit here. Insert vape here. Take a deep one and let's go. My 420s are done in a way that we're open to all sorts of odd stuff. Criticize after the fact, but at the very least in the beginning, just exist in that space. Don't fuck up your high or anybody else's, and let's have some fun. Assume for the moment, and these can be about anything, by the way, in case you're my new subscribers. Put all your beliefs to the side. I don't care what they are. Have some fun. Assume for the moment. Assume the position. Assume for the moment you're in Starbucks. And as you're in Starbucks, someone comes and sits on your table, by your table. Assume it's me. And they address you by your first name and last name. Mr. So-and-so. My name is so-and-so. I am your spirit guide. And you immediately get up from the table and say, you can have the seat. I hope you have a good day. Because you think this person is a maniac and you're weirded out by this experience. In one case, you're looking at this like, at the very least, he called me by my name though. That's weird. Why is he calling me by my name? But nevertheless, you're leaving the table. He said, wait, hold on. What can I tell you to get across that what I'm telling you is true? I understand you don't believe this stuff. I understand you have your own ideas on this. But what I'm telling you is true. This is what I am. I'm calling you by your first and last name to get that across. You were born in this particular place. Your mom was this. Your dad was this. Your dad wasn't around. Your mom, whoa. Calm down. Calm down. What do I need to tell you to get you across that what I'm telling you is true? I can tell you anything about your past. I can, in many respects, give you probabilistic outcomes of your future. But this is what I am. I've known you before you've known yourself. I've known you beyond this lifetime in multiple lifetimes. I've known you for God knows how long. How can I get that across to you? And you say, fine. You sit down at the table. You sit back down. Still weirded out, but you sit back down. You're curious. You're like me. You're curious. Fine. Something took place when I was a child. I was 6 years old. Explain to me. Tell me what that is. You tell me. You can tell me everything that happened in my past in this physical matter reality. Explain to me what took place when I was 6 or 7. It was somewhat traumatic to me. It fucked me up. What was it? And he proceeds to immediately, with no hesitation, no hedge, no pausing or anything else, in a very monotone way. When you were 7 years old, 7 years, 3 months, 24 days, 2 hours old, you experienced your penis for the first time. You masturbated on the back of your what are those things called? Toads, your turtle. You had a pet turtle. You masturbated on the back of your turtle. You thought it was funny. You're like, oh my God, look at this. And then you were somewhat saddened by this because you essentially masturbated on the back of your turtle. You thought that was wrong. And you went to wash it off. And you use hot water because your mom had told you that hot water is the thing that you use when you want to clean something, not cold water. And you were listening to your mom. And you were doing the right thing. And you were using hot water to clean your turtle. And you scalded your turtle to death. And you stopped moving. You killed your turtle because you masturbated on the back of your turtle. Immediately, you give a little bit more credibility to what this guy is saying because this guy has just blown your mind like nobody's business. He says, look, you're a curious sort of fella. This is why I'm stopping by to talk to you about this. And he proceeds to tell you that I've been with you for multiple lifetimes. You've had 1,000 other lifetimes, just like the person you are right now. Now, that was a different incarnation of you. That was a different version of you. But the workable point of view that you started with was you. It was unique to you. You want evidence of this. You say, okay, I don't believe you, but I need evidence. I need something to show me that what you're telling me is correct. He says, fine. He points you on your forehead, and you're immediately in a different space. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? How is this taking place? And he, again, in a monotone way, explains to you, look, I understand that you believe you're in physical matter reality at this point. For the most part, your body is still back there. We're in a different space. How are we in a different space? Well, your body is just somewhat of a mental creation. I mean, ultimately, you think you're a body with a consciousness. It's the other way around. You're consciousness with a body. What do you mean I'm a consciousness with a body? That for all intents and purposes, what you consider to be physical matter reality are things that are kind of filtered through a conscious state. Your consciousness is constrained in a certain way. You get like a data stream. Well, we can interrupt the data stream anytime we want to interrupt that data stream, and we can plug that data stream into something else. I've just plugged you into a different data stream. Think of it that way. Plug me into a different data stream. So you're telling me that I am a consciousness, and that consciousness projects the body. Yes. Not the other way around. Yes. So if somebody does surgery on me, I'm going to have a brain, though. Well, yes, because it projects it. The game space itself projects those things, meaning your consciousness has to project that brain, because that's just part of the thing. But if I'm walking around right now, nobody looks, it's not there. No, it's not there. There are probabilistic things that run in places. Those probabilistic outcomes can make a determination on where your body goes. There's certain things that take place, meaning if you eat McDonald's every day, there's going to be a probabilistic tilt that goes more in the direction of you having a heart attack. If you don't, there's a probabilistic tilt against you having a heart attack. Those are probabilistic outcomes. You don't need a heart in your body for that probabilistic outcome. You just need the outcome itself. At this point, you're still kind of blown away by this, because this guy is telling you stuff, and now you're in a completely different space than you were before. And he's explaining to you that the only reason you're in a different space is because you plugged into a different data set. Okay. What do you want to show me? And so he says, what life do you want to see? Show me an interesting life. It's like, fine, I'm going to show you an interesting life. I'm going to show you this life. So he takes you to a life where you're in Germany and you're in a house and you're talking to your wife. And as you talk to your wife, you're a German soldier, and you're hugging her, you're telling her, look, I'm going off to war. I love you and the kid very much. And we're going to do good things. We're going to do good things for Germany. You're going to make Germany great again. And you go out and you get shipped to a camp where you're keeping and housing Jews. It's not what you signed up for. You just wanted to fight for the German army and everything else. And this is what you've been assigned to do. And you find yourself one day after the next being prodded and pushed to do really ghastly, horrendous things. But you don't start off doing ghastly, horrendous things. Kind of just one thing after the next, after the next. You become somewhat of a functionary of a system. It's a system. It's a government. That government pays bills just like any other government pays bills. That government writes checks just like governments of any other check. That government's murder people in its foreign policy in the same way that other governments do. It's a government. You didn't sign up for this. You had a wife and a kid that you love. You left that wife and kid to leverage your bravery in the service of this particular country, and this is what your country has for you to do. War is coming, and it's coming closer and closer. And you find yourself in this horrendous situation, knowing that you've done horrendous things, and your base is attacked, and you are killed. And you're standing around watching yourself being shot in the face by an errant bullet. And as you analyze that life, you have no idea where you went wrong. You realize that you were part of larger forces, and that ultimately, yes, maybe you had a personal choice, but did you really have a personal choice? Meaning, what choice did you have in that particular system to be something fundamentally different? Did you have to be that particular soldier? Did you have to work in that particular camp? Did you have to leave your wife and kids behind? And in many weird and odd respects, you made one choice after the next. And none of those choices, at least in the beginning, were bad. But at some point, your decision space got more and more narrow as you worked in coordination with the state. Until that's what you ended up being. a Nazi, war criminal, who was essentially massacring Jews. How do you explain that in regards to your life thing? Your spirit guide looks at you. He's not judging you in any particular way. But if anything, it's what did you learn from that particular existence? He wasn't a horrible guy, even though he ended up doing horrible things. He ended up being part of a particular system where he felt like he didn't necessarily have any rules or any free will in that system. He felt stuck. Fair enough. There were certain things that he learned in that particular life. Many things he weren't proud of, putting it mildly. But the guy didn't necessarily look at him with any kind of scorn or anything else. Keep in mind, he's known this guy for 1,000 years. He's been a rapist. He's been a barbarian. He's been fucking awesome in some. Fucking horrible in others. He's a person. He takes him to one life after the next, after the next. In this life, he was a DJ. In this life, he was a farmer in Cuba or something. In another life, he lived on a boat with his dad that pretty much just did fishing from day in to day out without many responsibilities. Poor, but not poor or impoverished. What he realized was that in each of the lives that he was in, he had a certain point of view, but that point of view was constrained by the places that he was in. If he was in Japan, well, in Samurai Japan, he functioned in a different way, even though he may have had a same or similar workable point of view. The things that he learned in those lives, he accrued and took them with him in life after life after life. What the guy told him in an odd way was, look, this may blow your mind, but you think that you are some spiritual being of sorts. You are more akin to code. You will call it code. That's the only way we can explain it, but it's not exactly code. You have a particular point of view that receives energy, processes information, receives information, processes information, and that is I guess what's the word? That is shown on almost like a fabric that you consider to be reality, meaning physical matter, reality, space matter, time. We exist outside of what you would consider to be that particular thing. And we, for the most part, run these type of things. Now, you are alive in the sense that you describe alive. Intelligence or consciousness is consciousness. Doesn't matter what plane of existence and so on. It is what it is, what it is. So yes, you're there. But we allow you to go through multiple experiences because we try to get you to a particular point. We allow you to grow, and you're able to process these experiences, even though you don't necessarily remember those things in each incarnation. Now, you're blown away by this because you're thinking to yourself, are you telling me that there are thousands of me? Kind of, yes and no. Each one is their own separate identity, even though it's you. You don't know how to process this. One of the things you realize, though, is the points of view and how each one of these people looked at the world and how it changed and permutated over the course of their life. Meaning, somebody like a Hillary Clinton might not have started off like a Hillary Clinton. There were certain things, tweaks, permutations, that as she went through her life, there were certain things that prodded her. So this gets me, the society itself tells me that this is good, because the society rewards me for taking this particular choice versus that particular choice. So I take this cash, I do this, I have more access to the things that I need. The system itself rewards me for being that particular way. Now, what was I in my original working point of view state versus what am I now 10 years into this particular profession? What am I 20 years? What am I 30 years? What am I 40 years? What are the small changes that push and prod people that they may start off at a particular point, but over time, you get to the point where you're giggling hilariously over somebody getting sodomized with a machete. I'm making a simple point. These perspectives that people float into, per se, meaning in the course of their life and throughout the course of their life, it's hard for us sometimes to understand all of these different perspectives that people can have of the world and of the changes that can take place based upon the larger events in that world. What is the world like in Iraq, meaning in the Iraq War? What is the reality of the person on the ground in that war? What is the reality of the person on the ground that is struggling to survive, to make ends meet with this kind of hostile force of the United States at whim killing the people in that country? What is the psychology of the individual? What does it become in that situation? That individual that is put into that situation, if he was in Britain, he might have been an educator. If he was an American, he might have been something else. But no, he is in Iraq, living in that particular situation. I'm trying to get this thing across, where we can't look at the world purely from our own perspective. We need to account that there is no God above, there is nothing below that is forcing our world to be this way. And this idea of right and wrong or something like up and down, they don't exist. Just because you see right and wrong in the world, just because you see these things like this is good, this is bad, it doesn't mean that the people who are in office do. That may be a luxury they don't think they can afford. So they may use these ideas of right and wrong to use you as a useful idiot, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they themselves use these ideas. That soldier that was put into that particular situation in a German camp, say for instance, it wasn't a German camp, say it was an American thing. He was an American soldier in that situation. Say it was an American bomb maker or bomb planner. Say that guy's job was to get up in the morning. And yeah, I don't scratch the Nazi. He's an American bomb maker. Let's say he's in World War II. He gets up in the morning. He kisses his wife, hugs his kid. He goes in and he sits down and he takes out a map and he's coming up with strategies to kill human beings. He thinks, look, we can maximize the casualty count when we're bombing these places using firebombs so we can scald people alive and burn people alive. We can get maybe 100, 200,000 people to burn to death. What is the psychology of that guy? How is that psychology different from your psychology? Does that guy know right from wrong? Does right and wrong exist for that guy at all? I'm making the point that right and wrong doesn't exist. Up and down doesn't exist. Those things, to some degree, are human conceptions, and they're purely relative. Up and down only exist on Earth. But what is right and wrong? Who's setting that terms of what is right and wrong? Those things are just human conceptions. And fact is, assume for the moment that the guy who's doing the bomb making doesn't have a conception of right and wrong at all. That he's just, I am here to do a job. That job is to kill other human beings. Right and wrong doesn't apply in this process. Assume for the moment that you're part of a political system like Obama or Bush or Trump. And you say right and wrong doesn't exist. My goal in this is geopolitical influence, and that's all I care about. If that means paying terrorists to undermine Syria, then I pay terrorists to undermine Syria. If that means to be okay with a chemical strike that's not really a chemical strike at all, then that's what I do. Assume for the moment that people don't have your view of the world, that there are like 3 or 5% of the population that are psychopaths, and those people are in office. And those psychopaths are able to give a disposition and a perspective to the public that makes them seem like real human beings. Assume for the moment that that guy who's pushing you through life after life after life, to seeing each and every life, has given you a chance and a perspective in a way to dig into other personalities that you inhabited, to see how different the perspective of the world was. In one perspective, the person was completely depraved, had no idea of right and wrong and all, just assumed those things didn't exist in human conceptions and could make bombs and kill without any issue. In another situation, I had a very clear idea of what was right and wrong and stuck to that, being some kind of religious figure, and everywhere in between. Let's disabuse ourselves of what we think these people are like and go by what these people are doing. Let's disabuse ourselves of this thing of this is right, this is wrong, and these other people are also going to apply by our ideas of what's right and wrong. Assume for the moment that they use right and wrong purely for political points. Be cynical. You should be cynical. They're about to start a war. Be cynical. They didn't have weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. It's very likely that they're lying about the Skripal thing. It's likely that they're lying about the chemical weapons strike. I'm making the point to you that these people have done horrific, psychopathic things. And we need to stop giving this idea of this is right, this is wrong, and they function under our model of what's right and wrong. They do not. Republicans, Democrats, they do not. The Spirit guide told him at the very end, I'm bringing you back to your normal waking state, to your waking physical matter reality state. You are blown away by this experience because you were able to inhabit multiple people with all ranges of personalities. And at the very end, he whispers something in your ear. And you wake up. You thought you were in Starbucks. You weren't in Starbucks at all. You were dreaming. And you had no idea what to think about that particular dream state. Because fact is, what he could be telling you is perfectly right. What took place could have been just a dream. You left without knowing. One thing I would say, though, is what you can take away from that is the perspectives of those people that you were able to inhabit for that short space of time. And realizing that, yes, people can have various different perspectives. They can be human beings, but at the end of the day, how they view the world can be completely different. The perspective of somebody who's an Islamic extremist, can you imagine inhabiting that headspace? Or the plutocrat that is perfectly okay with stepping over the homeless person to get into their car. Or the politician that is helping that plutocrat get as much money as he can hoard on the backs of the American public. Or the worker that's breaking their back to make ends meet. Or that teacher that is barely making ends meet. Inhabit the spaces of these people for the moment. Be in their space. It gives you a hell of a lot of more context of the world than functioning from one very specific perspective and assuming that the world is functioning from the same perspective of right and wrong. Oftentimes they're not. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. This is 420. I don't even know what to call this. I wanted to talk about it. And so I said, fuck it, let's talk about it. But I wanted to talk about it from the perspective of how people think about things. I had a caller today. And I made a point, like, these people are, and I realized that the moment that he started, he was talking like right and wrong, and that people abided by his notion or our notion, the lefty's notion of right and wrong. And I kind of make this point to him that don't assume that. You can't assume it. Like, you might have 95% of the public that agrees with you on right and wrong, which is why our rhetoric and everything else works. But fact is, the rhetoric itself doesn't constrain their behavior. They still do those things. Like, they would use international law to knock other countries over the head, but ignore it whenever they want to. They would ignore international law when they would strike Syria. They would use those sanctions in order to murder Iraqis. Crushing sanctions, killing dead babies. Donald Trump would kill 10,000 people in order to, quote unquote, liberate Mosul. I'm just making this point to you that what we consider right and wrong, and the way in which we overlay these things on the world, we can't assume that other people hold these things to be true also. And sometimes when we're like, there's no way they can do that. No, there's no way you can do that. They can do that because they don't have your particular view of the world. There's a difference. There is a difference. Let's see. I can't believe people here listen to this. Yeah, guys, I'm not going to keep this one long. I just want to talk about something other than Russia and Trump and World War III and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. 420s are my escapes. I should have thought of a different one. I don't like this one in retrospect. I might delete this video. Maybe something with Star Trek. I haven't done a Star Trek one in a while. But that being said, it's what it is. It's 11:26 at night. I'm going to say you guys have a great night, and I'm going to get some rest. So, fingers crossed, nothing happens between now and tomorrow, and hopefully I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night, guys.